I'm just curious about our home state paper. I got to tell you, yesterday the headline on our after the first day of our convention was Trump GOP cast dark warnings. That was the headline in the Arizona Republic yesterday morning. And I looked back from a week ago what they wrote the previous Tuesday after the Democrats' first night. And their headline was Dems put women in spotlight on day one. Then I looked at this morning's headline in the Arizona Republic, and it was AZ woman booted as speaker for GOP. And then I looked a week ago, and it was Biden gets boost at convention. I'm just wondering if they're writing their headlines and stories in the major papers without even watching our conventions. How do they get dark warnings from what we're talking about? How do they get dark? How do they do this? And how do they ignore the fact that we're featuring more women while they're touting the Democrats having women?
Well, here's the thing: is there's two aspects about it. Number one, they don't tell the truth, and any a nod even to the truth is really not a nod to the truth, because that's number one. Number two is this: they will project on you what they're doing.
Exactly right.
So they were dark and dreary and dismal,
right, yes.
and it was a devastating week for them. And Biden got smashed. He lost. He dropped like a stone. President Trump went up, and President Trump has gone up every day of this convention so far. Why is that? It's because he's getting people from all walks, all races, all men and women. He's getting business people. He's getting people of color. He's getting people who have been abused by the Democrats.
Yeah, right.
And they get out there and they tell the truth. And you know what happens? That resonates with people.
Oh.
And then you throw and on top of that, the fact that Democrats can't even call riots. They can't even call them riots.
Right.
They call them peaceful protesters.
Yeah, they're looking at a country that
that
most we've talked before about them being out of touch with the country. They've never been more out of touch. Was talking to someone earlier saying I got some texts last night during the convention from some friends saying I'm loving all these women, and the women were great. But I got to tell you, between Nick Sandmann and Daniel Cameron, the Attorney General from Kentucky, I thought the whole story was told of where America is. Everyone hasn't gone through what Nick Sandmann has, but they have on a level. They have on a certain level. They have been shamed. They have been told to shut up. They have been told they're bigots and racists when they know they aren't. And then they see the story of Daniel Cameron and listen to the words of Daniel Cameron, and they say, yes, this is why I'm a Republican, and thank God he's saying the things I believe. I thought the whole story of this country and the party was between those two poles.
No, I think that's right. As I was watching Nick Sandmann last night, I thought to myself, that encompasses so much.
Yep.
You have a fraud guy who comes in and abuses a minor,
right?
Because he's wearing a MAGA hat.
No other reason.
No other reason,
right.
And the Democrat media machine goes roaring into action to demonize this young kid, and basically try to ruin his life. Yeah. They didn't care if because you'll see Nick Sandmann, if you Google him forever, you're going to have that guy whomping on that drum right in his face.
Yep.
And all these calls for race. They don't care about you or me, and frankly, anybody in America. What the Democrats want is power and control.
Mm-hmm.
And if they have to erase you from the surface of the earth, they will do it. And that's, I just thought of that as I was watching that, I thought, man, this is just such and I love, and this kid is, how resilient is he?
Oh,
His parents have done a great job raising him. This kid is confident. And then he puts on that MAGA hat.
Yeah, wasn't that great?
Speech.
Yeah.
Yeah, amen, brother. But,
I think of the party. You remember the great movie Jaws, the movie Jaws? And Richard Dreyfuss says about great whites, he's trying to explain to the mayor the threat that he's got on his hand. He says it's a perfect machine. All it does is swim and eat and make little sharks. And I'm thinking that's the Democratic Party. All it does is eat and make little progressives, and it doesn't care who. And it'll take out kids. It'll take out any people of color who dare stand up in support of this president. It'll take women, minorities, you name it. and then they will call us the bigots and the racists. It's really quite an incredible, as the Republic did this morning, and as the Republic destroyed the day before. Really quite an amazing place.
No, but they're living in this world because they're revolutionary.
Yeah.
They like to be called revolutionaries, but they're revolutionaries because they hate this country. They hate the free market system. They hate the freedoms that we acknowledge, particularly religious liberty.
Right.
They hate the notion of life for all, including the unborn. They hate those things. And what they want to do is they want to tear them down, and they want to create the vacuum to allow communism to come back in. I mean, it should be patently obvious to everyone what's happening in the country. When in Kenosha is a perfect example. You have an isolated incident involving a guy and the police, and we're going to let that get sorted out because we have a great justice system. But you know what happens? They're in torching people's businesses. They're torching cars.
Shouting death to America. Shouting. I literally saw a video of rioters shouting death to America as if this were, Tehran. I had a contractor over the other day, and we were watching a riot in Portland. Pick your, pick your channel, pick your day. You'll see a riot. It was a riot, and I had to remember which one we were watching. And he said to me, he goes, we're just so far removed from that. We don't really know how bad it can be here. And I thought to myself, where they used to say that? Portland, Seattle, Atlanta, Chicago, Kenosha. They would all use there. Once upon a time, they were all saying that about other riots. It can come here.
Right. No, we haven't seen this kind of social unrest in certainly the 60s. But the 60s, they were not. I mean, that was a weird time, weird things. But what you're seeing here is a movement that seems organized in a way. It's almost a corporate revolution, if I can put it that way. It's organized on a corporate type level. Yep. Somebody's funding, somebody's organizing, and they're getting after them. And Seth, until Portland actually rejected President Trump's overtures again today.
Yep.
As long as you let this thing go on, and you need to have two kinds of deterrence. And if you don't make arrests, you have no deterrence.
Right.
You have to start bringing safety to our neighborhoods and communities again. And the Democrats apparently don't want that because they won't even talk about it. The only people that are talking about it now are a couple of CNN announcers, and they're not talking about it because they think it's wrong and we should have.
They think it's bad for the polls. They think it's bad for the Democrats. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And oh golly.
Well, let me ask you this. I had a caller ask me this question. I gave a long answer. You're better at this than I am, obviously. But he said, if Trump wins decisively, which is what I'm expecting, by the way. But if Trump wins decisively, will it stop all this nonsense? What do you think? Do you think they get the message, or do you think that they just keep on going because we haven't killed all the great white sharks yet?
No, I think it doesn't end if President Trump wins.
Okay.
If President Trump wins and the Republican keeps one house of Congress, the House or the Senate, then this goes on. And the reason I say that is, I know this situation what you're seeing is worse, but the resistance movement actually was broader and more broadly spread. And so they're the crazy resistance that really hasn't resurfaced again. And they will join together with this malevolent force of BLM and Antifa. So that's what you'll see. That if they get the House and the Senate, I don't think you see it. I think you see it dissipate because they will immediately try to.
They will have gotten what they wanted. Interesting.
Exactly.